Hi, it's Tammy, NZ Gastric Sleeve. I am officially day 2 post-op, so it's Friday the 23rd here in New Zealand, and I had my surgery on Wednesday the 21st. I went in at about 2:30 in the afternoon, after sitting there for about 4 or 5 hours waiting for them to admit me and do all the tests and things that they do ahead of time. So yeah, went out for surgery about 2:30. I was probably up in recovery earlier, but when I woke up and then looked at the clock, it was about 4:30. And then by 5:30 I was heading over to my ward. I had a nasal drain through my nose all the way into my stomach, which was disgusting. It was so horrible. When it kept getting knocked, and it was just grating the insides of me. So he'd actually had it coming out and then up a little bit, so it was kind of coming up and then down, so then every time that came down it would scratch inside. So I kept holding it up here when anyone was kind of trying to do blood pressure or anything, and in the end one of the nurses sticky taped it to my forehead just so that it wouldn't annoy me so much. So I got that out 4 o'clock yesterday, and I have to tell you, going from feeling like absolute shit to being, well, not completely 100% boxer birds, but felt so much better. I also had a drain in my tummy, as well as 4 portholes incisions. I got discharged today at 4 o'clock to come home, and probably the biggest thing to date is the drive in the car on the way home. Oh my god, did that hurt. Also because I'd had my last lot of painkillers in the hospital at about 10:30, 11 o'clock, so it was time to have some painkillers. They're only giving me Panadol, so yeah, it's not it's not terribly painful, although today was the first time that I was able to have anything but water. So at breakfast I got a little bottle of yogurt, which I could only eat about 4 or 5 teaspoons out of, and just a little bit of milk to drink. And then at lunch I had some sugar-free jelly and some broth. I probably ate about 1/3 of the jelly, and it was only like this big to start with, that high. And then I had a few teaspoons out of the broth, and I was done. And then in the afternoon I was really trying to concentrate on my water, because I knew that I needed to get that in for them to be able to say that I could go home. So in 23 hours up until just before, no, 22 hours, up until 2 hours before I was discharged, I drank 750 mils of water. When I started drinking them yesterday, it was really difficult because I didn't get the all clear to start drinking water until about 4 o'clock yesterday. So that night was very difficult to even get a little bit in. I was probably lucky to get 150 mils of water in that night, and then I drank quite a lot this morning. I slept a lot in the hospital, and went between the hospital bed to the lazy boy, to the bed to the lazy boy, and so unfortunately what's happened is I've got such a sore ass. Not quite my ass, but just above, kind of on the back of your hips, from where the bed was kind of tilted and then the chair was kind of tilted. So trying to deal with that now and trying to get comfortable, that hurts probably as much as what my tummy does. So yeah, so tomorrow I'm allowed to start having mushies. So that's weird that I've gone from only water to fluids to mushies. I had a protein shake for dinner tonight. It was only 100 mils, and I feel stuffed, and I shouldn't have drunk in the last probably 20 mils. And it's just, I just need to stand up and walk around because to try and help it kind of go down. So on the morning of my surgery, I was the same weight that I had been previously, 103.9. I told myself I wasn't going to weigh myself until next Wednesday to get a total week 1 weigh-in, but I weighed myself just before and I was 105.5. So I put on 1.6 kilos in the hospital, which I think is pretty good because they were pumping me full of fluid for a good amount of time in that period. And yeah, that's probably all I've got to say. I will come back to you next Wednesday when I'm at the end of my week 1 and see how I've been going. I can definitely see the restriction and not being able to eat a lot, but I can also see that I'm going to have to play with that myself to get an idea of where that actually comes in. So that's my challenge for the next week. Alright, see you guys.